only they would make some sound, or wear a face where faces should be found.
Oh, if only they would make some sound, Claire.
If only.
We're going to make some sound. We have a podcast. Whoa, podcast? How British am I?
How British am I?
Welcome to Pod Sothoth, a Lovecraft book club. I'm your host, Todd Beardsley, and I'm joined, as always, by my attorney and wife, Claire Reynolds, Esquire. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Todd.
I'm glad to see that you came back to the show.
Thank you.
We don't have to talk about it, or we could. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I want to bring it up.
All right. We'll save it for the end.
Okay.
Listener, stick around to the end of this one. Well, hey, we just got back from Necronomicon. And by just, I mean a month ago.
Just in our podcast term.
And we had a great time. Very, very similar to one of the lines in today's story. The festival, his great-grandfather.
Yes.
And yeah, it was super cool. We did 2 shows. We had a show for Pod Sothoth. We did that at the Black Box Theater. It was great. If you were there, you remember it. You can listen to it. We recorded it and everything. And then the very next morning, I was pretty hungover. We went on stage at the Armitage Symposium, which is a very serious and stuffy intellectual symposium of intellectuals.
I'm surprised they have not obtained a restraining order against us.
Whatever. It was very well received, as listeners will hear in the next episode, which will drop as a bonus episode. But bonus for everyone. We don't do any paywall nonsense. But it will be the bonus episode, and it is a recording of you, Claire. And it turns out I know more than one attorney who's a weirdo, and that other attorney is Harley Geiger. And then me, kind of. I've cut out most of my part of that in the editing. Here's the thing. Not because I'm, humble.
Right.
But
no,
because
definitely not.
My audio quality just sucked ass.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So you and Harley both sound great. I sound like I'm standing at the end of a wind tunnel and it sounds awful. So the only bits I kept were like where I felt like it was important for the setup to the joke. But it's punchline after punchline from these two attorneys. So check it out next time. What else do we do at Necronomicon? What was your favorite part of Necronomicon?
Well, we met a bunch of friends, like a bunch of cool people. I liked going to the ball. I did not leave the room the entire next day.
Yeah, I took a down day at DEF CON, which was the week before.
Yeah. You've got a lot of stuff going on.
It was in Vegas. I was there for a week. There was a day of DEF CON where I'm like, I'm just not going to do much DEF CON today. I was online, though, so it was fine. Yeah. I'm so glad to be back in an environment where I can edit.
Yeah, for sure.
That live show is a little rough. It gets good. It gets good in the middle, I'd say. It's like the middle 20 are pretty good. Here's the thing with the live show. So we had a good time, obviously.
Yeah, it was great.
We gave everyone mushroom pizza because we were talking about the fungi from Yuggoth. Mm-hmm. The central MacGuffin of the show was going to be, the idea was improv style. We were going to compose on the fly a number of songs with the lyrics from the sonnets of the fungi from Yuggoth, but with wildly different musical styles, right? As sourced from the audience. I thought this would be great and fun and awesome. It was not.
I mean, it's, it takes time to type all the stuff in and then have it, get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we just didn't know our audience. That's the thing. It's like
some fraction of the audience was violently opposed to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you heard, listener, at the top of the show, a bit of Sonnet 20, Night Gaunts. Stick around to the end. After the end, the whole song will be on there. It's also available for purchase. podsothoth.bandcamp.com.
Send your hate mail to Todd, folks. Specifically exclude me, please.
What do you think about AI-generated music that's almost certainly in violation of several licenses? Tell me. but tell me publicly. don't keep it private. Don't keep it between us.
Right. Definitely. Yes.
Yeah. And be sure to include the URL. http://sponsop.bandcamp.com so people know where not to go. I thought it was fun. I thought it was a fun idea. It didn't work at all, and that's fine.
Now we know.
Now we lesson
The
learned.
audience was great. Like, they were so supportive and sweet. And what are you hitting?
The more you know.
Oh.
That's right. You don't have headphones on today.
No, I thought they were really great, and it was terrifying, and they were super nice.
Yeah. And I've been in the Black Box Theater several times.
Yeah.
I love the space. The space is super cool. Everybody loves the space. So
I think the best thing to come out of it was the actually mic.
oh yeah, that was an innovation. We had and if you listen to the show, it does get used once, maybe 1.5 times. The next time we do a live show, this is a permanent fixture.
Oh yeah.
Just have a mic that anyone in the audience can come up to and real time fact check us.
Yeah.
During the next discussion episode, we're thinking of doing something during South by. Stay tuned. We'll see. Minimal travel for us, maximal travel for other people. So Necronomicon. We played a game. Remember?
Oh, we did. That was really fun.
We played a tabletop RPG in the liminal role playing system.
Yeah.
And it was really fun.
The game master was really cool.
He was cool. The concept was cool. The group was great.
I agree. It was super fun.
It was great. It was really fun. It was probably the longest I ever spent on the gaming floor at Necronomicon.
Yeah.
And because this year I was like, okay, come on, we're gonna put 4 hours into this, and it was great. It was a nice little one shot. Happened to be the fun guy from Yuggoth. We're the bad guys. So one of the other Armitage Symposium talks was all about parasites, and it was great and gross and full of body horror, and roundworm is no joke. Don't get it.
I'm not planning on it.
Don't get it. Wear shoes, when you're walking around in human feces.
I always do.
Good. So yeah, all parasites all the time, which was fun. Parasites and fungi. That were the two co-joined themes for Necronomicon. But this is not a review show about Necronomicon.
What?
No. I read a whole story, and then you read a whole story, and we're here to talk about it. The festival, or as you originally called it, La Fiesta.
I asked him, I said, which one are we reading? The Fiesta? I was like, yes, La Fiesta.
So Claire's been learning a lot of Spanish lately,
I have been.
and got a 200 and something day streak,
260 maybe, something like that.
260 day streak on Duolingo. And so she read this in Spanish, right?
Oh sure, no, because I don't have past tense yet. And
yeah, who needs that?
Yeah,
nobody. My first note on the festival is fucking hell, this rocks.
I loved this one.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I loved it.
Wow. Survey says.
I know.
The story starts with a quote in Latin, which I did not read in my dramatic reading because I didn't want to pronounce all this dang Latin.
You know what I think, man? Like them dang, I think, therefore you are.
But you are an attorney.
Oh my God. Yeah, but
who studies Latin and French, right?
No.
Because that's what all attorneys talk. All right. I will give it a shot because I did get a phonetic pronunciation for this.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Efficient.
Efficient.
Oh, it's a
it's a hard C.
Really?
I don't know nothing about no Latin. Okay, I'm going to give this a shot. Efficiant daemones und cas non sunt sectamen quasi sint conspicadanda homnibus exuberant. I don't know. I kind of lost it at the end there.
It got away from me, yeah.
Oh, minibus.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Go ahead.
You see those driving around downtown Austin on Friday nights. The Ho minibus. It's going to be. I'm sorry, that was very sexist.
Minibus.
Yeah. That could be for men or women.
I see where you're getting home minibus.
Yes, thank you. You think I was just making that up?
No. No, it's literally spelled that way. Ho minibus. Okay. Well, it's the Ho minibus. Why is that not the card art for this episode? I don't know. Translates to: demons cause things that do not exist to appear as if they do, so that they can be seen by humans.
Oh. Oh, if I were if I were to look at this with my knowledge of Spanish, I'd be like efficient demons. One not take halfway conspicuously in their home minibus that they exhibit.
Very good. Duolingo, what say you? So this is a real quote from a real guy. His name is Lactantius. Lactantius. He was 3rd century, Common Era in North Africa. He was an early Christian author and is referred to as the Christian Cicero. He wrote a fairly well-received treatise on the philosophical defense of Christianity.
Did you just say treatise again?
I did. Is that not the word?
It's treatise.
Treatise.
Treatise on goatsy.
Yeah, a treatise on goatsy. A treatise on goatsy. Treatise on goatsy.
That's a
Treatise
treatise.
on goatsy. Treatise on goatsy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Todd has very excellent grammar and pronunciation.
Thank you.
There are a few words.
Wait, there's a but.
There's a few words. Treatise and nuclear.
Nuclear.
It's a stupid language we speak. It's
Yep.
a mishmash. English is a terrible forbidden tongue, I would say.
It's a forbidden tongue.
Never before has any voice uttered the words of that tongue here in Imladris.
So anyway, that's that dude. And when I read this, like the translation, I immediately thought like, oh, this is like a very Descartesian sort of style of philosophy where, as you know,
No.
from your
I've never taken a
extensive
philosophy class.
I don't
Todd was
understand.
upset, very upset by this when he found out.
Descartes posited that you could have an evil demon that lives like in between you and your senses and can be editing your senses all along the way. And how would you be able to tell the difference? This was like a thing.
Oh, okay.
And
Is
it's
this
like kind of
when
the
you
basis
have multiple
of,
wolves living inside of you.
you have 2 wolves living inside you. They are Descartes and Lactantius.
Oh boy.
That's their names. And they're all messing with your perceptions. So,
Okay.
So anyway.
Well, yeah.
that's
I mean,
Todd's
okay.
philosophy
So you
corner.
could have a demon. All right. Well, we don't want to get into this.
We
This
could.
No. See, this is why philosophy. I hate philosophy.
I
because it's
had
like,
a great time in philosophy class.
It's just like
it's a class called Well Actually.
yeah. Yes, that's why I hate it. All right, go on.
So that's the first little thing. So and then the story starts, right? And it's a guy and he's going to Kingsport in New England somewhere. We don't really super know where. It's probably Massachusetts, I'd say. Kingsport does show up in several of the Fantasy Flight games, namely Arkham Horror 3rd Edition, which is the board game that we have with the puzzle pieces and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Kingsport is one of the expansion sets. It comes with Kingsport and Innsmouth.
Yeah.
And they're kind of related to each other.
Yeah.
But most shockingly, the main character is a person of color.
What?
Okay.
Are we sure, though? I thought, surely
Yes.
this can't be correct.
The quote is, "My people had come as dark furtive folk from opiate southern gardens of orchids."
Yeah.
To me, this says something Asian,
Mm-hmm.
China, Thailand, Vietnam,
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah.
anything in that neighborhood. But definitely not, definitely not a white person. That's how I read it.
Yeah, I was so confused. I was like, and I kept waiting for there to be something. It was nothing. This person was a normal person the whole way through.
He's the main character.
Yeah, he didn't do anything weird. Well, I have some disagreements with him, his choices at the end, but anyway. But I mean, he didn't denigrate him in any way, which is
Unusual.
Yes. Shall we say?
And I looked around and I'm like, hey, has there ever been like a main character, unnamed narrator character who is explicitly non-white and I can't find one. So listeners, write in and tell me about it. Because I couldn't find one. No, there's plenty of non-white characters in Lovecraft, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're almost
Yeah.
always the villains or the
Yeah.
victims. But they're not the narrator, right?
Yeah.
So hey, look at that. Look at that.
Look at that.
Lovecraft, not 100% racist.
Enjoy the refreshing taste of diet racism.
Moving on. A whole lot of architecture in this
Yes.
story starts
Yeah.
off. He's kind of alien to New England, right? He's not really familiar with it. And so he doesn't seem to notice that everything is old-timey by the time he gets to Kingsport.
What does he know? Yeah.
What does he know? He doesn't know nothing about nothing. And he's sent here like kind of on a mission.
But then I'm also confused though, because then he says they had hanged 4 kinsmen of mine for witchcraft in 1692, but I did not know just where. Like, were there 4 Asian dudes
Witches.
that they hanged for witchcraft in 1692?
So 1692 is the year, right? Like that's the year.
Yeah, no, I know, but like,
I guess, you know, I mean, why not? And
I mean, certainly if somebody Asian like showed
did
up,
anything.
yeah. She's a witch.
How do you know she is a witch? She looks like one.
So I think the thrust of it is like he has some familial connection with this region, but this guy in particular has never been here before.
Yeah.
And that's why he's being sent. He's being sent by by a letter from his forefathers.
I don't quite get that, but that's okay because that's one of the things I liked about it is that it's not entirely clear.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm sure I've read this once. I'm sure if I went back and like, you know, I'm sure there are scholars that have much better ideas of what happened.
So yeah, there's a bunch of architecture right out of the gate, and I am ashamed to say, Claire, I did not precisely know what gables and gimbrel roofs were, and so I looked them up.
I mean, I just know, like,
He talks about them all the time.
The triangle bits on.
They're triangle bits, but like it's like 2-phase. Anyway, it's way too hard to explain.
Outcropping over windows and stuff, right?
Yes.
The house of
actually,
seven gables. Is that how many gables are in the
Anne of Green Gables?
Anne of Green Gables, but there's also the Hawthorne. Isn't Nathaniel Hawthorne's the house?
Don't ask me.
7 gables.
You're smarter than me.
Okay.
So the gable is the part of the wall that forms basically the exterior wall of the house, and so that means there's like so in a house of 7 gables would be enormous and have.
Look at me, I was right. It is Nathaniel Hawthorne,
Nice.
The House of 7 Gables.
Nice.
It's a Gothic novel. Why
Cool.
haven't you read this? It seems
I
like
don't
something
know.
you would have read.
I don't know. I've only read like one
Anyway.
Hawthorne, and it's the one everyone's read. Scarlet Letter.
It is Nathaniel Hawthorne. I take it you were right. Look at you.
Nailed it in
Look
one.
at you.
I did not go to Northwestern University. So the gable is the front wall of whatever that room is on the interior.
Okay.
The gambrel roofs form the outline.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a triangle. It's kind of a broad triangle at top, and then a much steeper down slope on the side. So think of like a barn.
Make it stop.
So that's exciting.
It's very
That's some
riveting.
good fucking
Riveting
podcasting
stuff.
right there. And, he goes in, he knocks on one of the doors that he was supposed to go to, and he's met by a dude who has this weird face. That's kind of
real odd turn of events for a Lovecraft story.
He goes in and he sees. He's like, "Cool, come on in." And he sees this.
Cool. Hey, bro.
Hey,
Bro.
come on. Hey,
Come on in.
Hey, oh, you're here for the thing.
But he's writing it on a wax tablet.
That's right, because he's mute. And then he sees the old lady at the spinning wheel, right? And she's wearing a deep poke bonnet. What the fuck is a deep poke bonnet? Don't know.
I assumed it was like one of those long bonnets that like
You assume correctly.
Okay, I remember I wore one when I was pretending to be Abigail Adams for a school project in elementary school.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the thrust of this part and all this description is the clothes are antiquated, the architecture is antiquated, everything's antiquated. What's going on? He doesn't put it together. You know, Lovecraft uses a lot this kind of dramatic irony a lot. It's like this is supposed to be telegraphing hard to the reader. It's like homeboy just time traveled like 200 years in the past, right? So that's what's going on.
I don't want to talk about time travel shit.
And the furniture, the piece of furniture, it's called a settle, and I misread it in my reading as settee, and it is a
High-backed settle
yes.
faced the row of curtain. Oh.
Yeah, so I saw it. I thought it was a transcription error. I thought, surely he means settee. And so I'm going to just go with that, right? It's a little couch with a back and everything. No, a settle is different, and a settle is more archaic. Imagine a couch built for Puritans who find comfort a sin. That is what a settle is.
So is it like the way they try to keep homeless people from ever being comfortable?
Yeah,
or
aggressive architecture or whatever
pigeons,
it's called. Yeah.
Defensive architecture or something. I can't remember what it is. Yeah. It's all like spikes
it's
and
a
stuff on it.
It's a cat. Yeah, it's probably metal as fuck. It's full of spikes.
They're like, oh, come in, have a seat.
Have a seat. Do it.
That's right. Have a seat and suffer for your sins.
Right. And so they're kind of designed to be uncomfortable. And you're not supposed to like hang out in there too long. You're not supposed to actually settle in a settle.
Got it. Okay.
So there's someone there, but he can't really see them because it's facing the window, and that's fine. And then he sees guy leaves, host leaves, and our narrator's there. And he's like, oh, what's this? It's a pile of books, a pile of moldy tomes, which brings us to our new game show. Is it real or fake? And yes, there will be Star Trek drops.
Okay.
And so, Claire, I'm going to hit you with some descriptions, the following tomes. Okay, we're going to start off with The Necronomicon by Abdul Al-Hazred.
It's fake.
Fake. So we should let the listener give a shot. But that's the gimme. Yes, of course it's fake.
It's a fake.
I won't even read the description. You don't even get to hear it now. All right. Next tome. My pronunciation or lack of pronunciation should give you no hint because I am bad at pronouncing all of these.
Yes.
Okay, except for the Necronomicon. Seduxmus Triumphatus by Joseph Glanville, published in the late 17th century. This book by an English philosopher and theologian, Joseph Glanville, explores witchcraft and demonic possession, aiming to rationalize supernatural events and the hysteria of witch trials. Real or fake?
Fake.
It's real.
Ooh, I'm shocked because I thought because it was published in 1681. Oh, wait. When I'm just trying to think, when were the witch trials? I forgot.
1692.
Yeah, it's before that. Why would they be trying to? I mean, not that those are the only witch trials.
Exactly.
You know,
Bam.
news travels slowly, and
news travels slowly. Okay, next volume. So Claire, you're 1 for 2. The Daemon Latria by Remigius, published in the late 16th century. This work by Remigilius, a French priest and demonologist, provides a comprehensive examination of witchcraft and demonology, including detailed case studies from witch trials. Real or fake?
real.
You're correct. It is real.
It's real.
Very good. And then finally, the fourth book on his distant relative's table, his fourth moldy tome is Marvels of Science by Old Moyster.
Marvels of science.
Marvels of Science. It's 2 L's. Published in the mid-18th century, this book explores forbidden scientific knowledge and arcane phenomena. Old Moyster was a Welsh scholar renowned for his studies in speculative sciences and obscure research. Real or fake?
Fake.
It's a fake.
That one is fake.
All right.
Very good. Very good. You were
I
only
thought
fooled by
that
one.
one had to be fake because there was no publishing date that he gave.
Yeah. I had to make that part up
Yeah.
of when it was published. I also made up that he was Welsh. But, you know. Well, thank you for joining us on this week's episode of
Riveting.
It's a real or It's a Fake.
Don't you understand? It is real.
Thank you, Star Trek fans. Okay. Cool. Do you have anything you want to talk about at this point in the story? I can keep going, but
No.
I want to make sure that you have equal time because you're an equal partner on this fucking podcast.
Oh, friends. Todd is, for whatever reason, I'm convinced someone said something to him, but He's now afraid that he bullies me.
I step on your jokes sometimes.
That's fine. I don't think you do. If I felt like you were, I would say something to you.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Would you?
Sometimes you do, but if I cared about it, let's put it that way. If I cared.
All right. Well, then we'll just move on.
Yes. He's chilling out. He's reading the dentist office magazines.
The dentist office Necronomicon.
He's-
Necronom for highlights. Necronom for kids.
Yeah. Goofus and Gallen.
Goofus and Gallen and Abdul. And Yogg-Sothoth.
He's doing the search.
jumble?
No, the things where you compare the two sides. It was like, which one?
Oh, what's it? Spot the difference?
Spot the difference. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I can think of it.
I think all... Okay, so...
So obviously we should publish a Lovecraft themed Spot the Difference.
Yes, obviously. And I think that like many Call of Cthulhu games, some tend to revolve around spot the difference between these two translations of the Necronomicon.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so
he's
yeah,
playing Spot the Difference.
They're sitting around. There's a lot of waiting as he reads these books, and then they're like, "Let's go."
Time to go.
Time
Now he
to
doesn't
go.
say. They don't say
Yeah.
anything, right?
no.
So they go, and he notices that he doesn't really hear anybody approach. He doesn't hear any footfalls. He doesn't hear anything. The whole, and I like this chunk of it. It's silence as horror, which I like a lot. Like it gives it like kind of a dream, ghosty sort of feel to everything. And it would be unsettling. Like I think if you were making this as a movie, right? Like as a short, like obviously black and white short, then you would just like, I think you would cut out all the sound. Like it would start off with like him, and he'd be walking, and you'd hear like room noise and outside noise. But as he approaches Kingsport and as he knocks on the door, it becomes a silent movie.
Ooh.
You know? Right? Yeah.
I like
so like the
it.
whole middle
Yeah.
bit is silent with cards. And that's it. That's how I would shoot
Yeah,
it.
I like it.
And it would be cool. And like that part, like just silence as a horror element is I think really interesting. I think we're kind of sick of it right now with The Quiet Place and the other one that's also about being quiet. Or is it just the sequel? No, Bird Box. Bird Box is also about being quiet, isn't it?
No, they can't look at it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So sensory deprivation as a horror technique, right? Got popular in the 2020s for whatever reason, and also during the silent part of the story, there's a lot of emphasis Lovecraft puts on like odors and smells, and it all smells bad in a very like, oh, don't go in there kind of way.
Yeah.
And so they kind of march through Kingsport. They go to a church, then they find like a secret staircase, and they worm their way in through the staircase like worms.
I know. He just keeps talking about like how creepy and horrifying and scary. And the whole time I'm like, okay, I understand maybe somehow you were sent here by your forefathers,
Right.
whatever that means. I like to think of it as his
His
forefathers.
forefathers.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody here, BoJack Horseman, Hollyhock has 8 fathers, but it's,
She has 2 sets of forefathers.
yeah. No, but I'm like, you could just not go, right? Just say, I'm good. I mean, well before he the time that he chooses not to go is, well, we'll get there.
So they go down these staircases, and they're old and ancient, reminding me a lot of Rats on the Walls. And then they empty out into this like vast underground cavern, and there's this geyser of green flame in the middle, and then this is where it becomes a fucking album cover, like a fucking Black Sabbath,
Right.
Iron Maiden album cover, and it's dope as fuck. And I love it. I love everything about it.
Yeah.
I want a t-shirt of this. I want a t-shirt of this with all the fictional cities on the back for the tour dates.
Oh, that's fun.
That's good. That's going
Yeah.
on the merch store that doesn't exist yet. There's one phrase in there, and it is as follows. But what frightened me most was the flaming column spouting volcanically from depths profound and inconceivable, casting no shadows as healthy flame should, and coating the nitrous stone above with nasty, venomous verdigris. And I'm like, what the hell is verdigris and why is it nasty and venomous? So I looked it up. Do you know what verdigris is?
No.
So verdigris, let me tell you.
Okay. No, Todd, what is it?
And just look at me lovingly and and learnedly as I
Bestow wisdom upon
as
me.
I tutor you in,
Yes.
in the chemical process that is verdigris. It's like a patina, and it affects copper and copper alloys. But it's not patina. It's different. It is what makes copper turn green.
Oh, okay.
And so you'll find it in bronze, you'll find it in brass, and you find it in copper, right? And so this tells me geologically
Yes.
that there is a rich source of copper underneath the Kingswort.
Okay.
In this nitrous stone. And that's why it's reacting this way. So that's what I think it is.
I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah,
like
that's
that,
verdigris.
that he would think of that level of detail.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nasty. It's nasty, venomous verdigris. Because it's green. It's always green, right?
Yeah.
Whereas patina can go from like green to blue or gray and all that. For in all that seething combustion, no warmth lay, but only the clamminess of death and corruption. It's really cool. I really like that. Okay, so they're down there, and he's like losing his shit, right? And now you can start hearing things, right? The sound comes back in the film version, right? And it's this droning, fluting from far away, from on the other side, I think, from the geyser.
Little squat guy.
Little squat, little amorphous, little squat dude.
Just playing a flute.
Piping away on the flute. And
very, very Spinal Tap esque here.
yes.
No one knows who they were or what they were doing.
Stonehenge is the best Spinal Tap song, for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
album,
yeah.
right? The whole album, I think, is called Stonehenge. Yes, and it's at scale, right?
I need to watch that later.
These were supposed to be 12 feet tall. You wrote inches. Yeah, it's great. And then, on account of the fluting, you see these bat-winged beasts start coming up out of the darkness and showing up near the people, right? And these beasts are great. I love these beasts. I love how they're described. Shall I read it to you? Or do you want to read it? Do you want to read it? You should read it.
No. I don't even know where it is. Go ahead.
If you could, I want you to read it.
Okay. There flopped rhythmically a horde of tame, trained, hybrid winged things that no sound eye could ever wholly grasp or sound brain ever wholly remember. They were not all
That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Right here.
All right, sorry. They were not altogether crows, nor moles, nor buzzards, nor ants, nor vampire bats, nor decomposed human beings.
Nor wombats, nor yaks, nor miniature ponies, nor sloths, nor worms. And there's so many things they're not.
Yeah.
And that
that's
just
right.
cracked me up. It was so funny.
Yeah.
And it's something he cannot and must not recall.
No. And I liked how he called them buzzards.
Yeah.
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 I've not heard that. That's a term I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah. Buzzards,
Yeah,
not
that's
vultures.
That's very Midwestern.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's not Midwestern. Maybe it's just like old timey.
It might be old timey. I know, like, buzzard is the term you use when you're describing the scavenging birds in cartoons from like Looney Tunes era.
Oh, because he's a buzzard. That's right. Isn't there like a buzzer or something? Okay.
So it's, I do think it's a little more old timey.
Yeah.
Kind of westerny, but we don't use it here in Texas. We use turkey vulture. So
I feel like probably
if you get outside of Austin,
Probably,
they start
yeah.
reverting to
yeah,
buzzard.
I'll bet.
And so he's like, "Hey, get on and let's go.
Yeah,
let's
everybody's
go take a ride."
jumping on these things.
Yeah,
going
and flying off.
And now,
This is where he has a
when
problem.
he decides no. I'm like, I'm sorry. These perfectly, like, everybody is getting on these things and flying off to where? Now is the time that you're going to be like, no, that's the coolest part of the entire thing.
And this is what the guy tries to tell him. He's
Yes.
like, no.
Yeah.
The best, most secret part is about to happen and you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, seriously. And
Yeah.
of course, he's not speaking.
Yeah.
He's drawing, right? Like, quickly.
Right. No, bro, this is the coolest part of the rave. You've got to.
You have to do this. And he's like,
No,
little much for me.
Instead, I think I'll throw myself into this
Into this
oily,
fucking river.
gross, poisonous, stinky, fetid river.
And why does he do that? Because the old man, who's his guide the entire time, has to stop one of these non-buzzards
Yeah.
from getting away, and he moves so fast that his mask slips.
Yeah.
And where his head should be is a nightmare, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, he failed his sanity check at that point.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah. But it's just like he went through, okay, because the old guy shows him his family crest. And, so,
And
yeah.
he shows him this watch.
Great-grandfather gave this watch to Granddad for good luck.
Oh, his watch.
And
His,
let me
his
tell you about this
great.
watch.
Oh, yeah. Did he pull it? Did he hide it in his
He
his
carried
butthole?
this uncomfortable hunk of metal in his ass for 5 long years.
5 long years, Butch.
So we know the narrator's name. His name is Butch.
Yeah.
And in fact, this is where Quentin Tarantino got the idea. I know for a fact. He
But
told me
It
once
just kills me that all this
at
time
QT Fest.
he's going on some letter from his forefathers. Goes across the ocean.
Yep.
To this weird town, goes to the town, blah, 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 and then gets to the end.
The penultimate experience.
Yes, and then the guy is proven that he's like, yes, I'm here.
I have your father's watch.
Yeah,
This watch.
I have your father's watch. And then Butch is like, nah,
Nope.
bro.
Into the river.
I am not. I'd rather throw myself into this putrid, fetid river than
Oily.
get
Yep.
on these flying winged things for what could possibly be the coolest experience
the coolest
of my
thing
life.
I've ever done.
Yeah.
It may be the last thing I ever do.
Right.
But it's definitely going to be the coolest.
Yeah, I'd rather do that than throw myself into this stinky water.
So he throws himself into the river. And then he wakes up sometime later, caught up
This
on
is
something.
definitely the first scenario in an Arkham Horror the Living card game.
Yes,
thing,
yes.
where
This is
like-
the background.
Yeah.
This is the background to the first
Yeah, but
scenario.
nothing bad happens to him. They just like, oh, you're fine. You know, you
Yep.
you threw yourself up. You ran away from the big bad. And
So he's collected. He's brought to the hospital in Kingsport. He is delusional and raving. So they're like, "Fuck this! This is going to be Arkham's problem." So they ship him down to Arkham, to St. Mary's Hospital, I think, in Arkham, and everyone's cool and chill there. And
yeah, he seems to really be happy there.
yeah, he's
worked
on the
out
road to
well.
recovery, right? Like this attempted suicide is behind him, and they're like, "Hey, did you want to read the Necronomicon?"
Yeah, we'll go get it.
Yeah, we can.
We'll get you books.
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Yeah.
So they go to the doctors go to Miskatonic, just pick up the copy of the Necronomicon, bring it back to this person that they've never met before,
Yeah.
presumably, and says, "Go nuts." And then he reads the passage.
Like you could just check it out I would think the Necronomicon would be in like the special books section.
It
where
is
you have to-
definitely in the special
yeah,
books
where
section.
you have to go in and like the librarian
It's the
touches it
special
with
coll-
tweezers
yeah.
while you watch.
It's a special collection section.
Yeah.
It is in fact, Claire, we haven't covered it on the podcast, so you're forgiven for not remembering this instantaneously. It is maintained specifically by Dr. Henry Armitage
Yes,
at
that's
Miskatonic
right.
in the events of the Dunwich
Okay.
War.
Oh, and he's just like, yeah, sure, bro, whatever, take it out.
Yeah, but
I don't care.
check
it out.
It's fine. The doctor, I think probably the doctors realized that this guy probably knew what he was talking about. He was claiming to have seen the Necronomicon before, and in fact, he has, right? And so, because
Yeah.
the final bit of the story is he reads the paragraph and he remembers this paragraph identically, right? He uses the term identical, which tells me, Claire, that this was the exact same translation. It's the Wormius translation of the Necronomicon. It's not in the original Arabic as written by Abdul al-Hazred. This is the same translation that was both in Kingsport probably 200 years ago and in Miskatonic today.
The John Dee translation.
It is definitely not that fucked up John Dee.
I don't know.
How
That's-
fucking dare you?
only know
How
that
dare you bring up that charlatan John Dee? No.
Relative of Mike D.
Yes, later of the Beastie Boys. No, it is not the trash.
Okay.
Trash
I don't
translation.
know. That's all I know. I'm just here. God, I'm gonna
In
get
English? Are you kidding?
I'm gonna
That horrible
reamed
tongue?
for this.
No, it's the Ormus Wormius translation. Ormus Wormius is his name. It's probably Ormus Vermius because he's German.
Oh yeah.
But it's in Latin. And yeah, it's the identical passage, which is what is the clue that it is in fact the same Necronomicon that he had read. There are several translations of the Necronomicon. I feel like we're just like dripping with them.
Yeah.
You can't turn around without kicking over a
I know they're showing up like phone books
that
we don't want.
Exactly. There's a pop-up version.
Yes.
And he does, he dares not quote it. And then proceeds to quote it. Which is awesome. I love that part. I feel like that was like kind of a missed edit.
Yeah.
Like that. I don't put that on Lovecraft. I put that on his editor.
Yeah.
When this ran in Weird Tales, I dare not quote it. And so I shall, like, literally the next sentence is, and then I quote this. Yeah. And final fun fact, this quote from the Necronomicon, quoted via the Latin from the Mad Arab, introduces the character of Ibn Shakabau, shows up a year later in The Hunter in the Darkness. He's much more fleshed out. He's a medieval scholar. And I went down a rabbit hole on this one, right? Because why would Abdul al-Hazred have any knowledge of Ibn Shakabau? He shouldn't. Ibn Shakabau is hundreds of years later. He's a medieval scholar.
Oh.
But the Ormus Wormius translation, I'm thinking, because it's the Ormus Vermius translation, Ormus Vermius inserts Ibn Shakabau as part of the translation, because as we know, like when you're doing something like translating the Bible, for example, across time and space and language, things get in there that weren't in the original, right? And so I think this mention of Ibn Shakabau is an maybe not so much an invention, but it's a cultural touch point. You're just trying not to laugh at me over this like fake academia that I'm doing.
To imagine if you had whipped this out on our first date.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Panty dropper in the extreme.
It would have been like, oh, look at that. My phone. Somebody's calling me. You'd be like, your phone is not ringing. What are you talking about? I'd be like, I don't know. What are you talking about? It's obviously ringing.
Ibn Shakabau. And so that's the story. Anyway, I like that as a little tiny kind of, we call it an Easter egg.
Okay.
Which has nothing to do with Yuletide.
Right.
Which is what, and so this is a Christmas story, by the way. This is a whole Christmas miracle.
It is,
this
I
goes
know.
well with the fungi from Yuggoth, which was written over Hanukkah. This is a Yuletide story.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think this winter we're gonna be sitting pretty. We have a lot of like Lovecraft Christmas things.
Yeah.
and just the whole holiday spirit will be with us in December. That's it. That's the whole story. Any final thoughts on the story? Shall we move on?
No, I just liked it.
business? I loved it.
I thought it was written well, and it kept me going. I was like, I want to know what happens. I kept wanting to know what happens.
And then he nopes out at the end.
He does nip out at the end. That was disappointing.
I like that as a.
He was gonna. I mean, how else are you gonna? That it would have been a much longer story if he hadn't noped out.
It becomes the dream quest of unknown cutoff,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's what that turns
Yeah.
into if he does that. Because
Yeah.
I assume that's where they're going. They're going off to the dreamlands because how do you like they're all underground. This cavern is enormous. They've clearly like crossed over into another place.
Yeah.
And yeah, so cool. Well, I loved it. Check it out. You can read all of these at hplovecraft.com. So, we already talked about our bonus episode. But I will mention it again. Bonus episode is a recording of our Armitage Symposium. That'll be next. Vanitas Horendum Lex from Beyond the Bar. It's really funny. It's all about legal issues in Lovecraft. Claire is great in it, and so is Harley. I'm terrible in it. I almost forgot. We opened the show with... I'm not changing the theme music. Don't worry. The show will end with the normal theme music. But after the end of the theme, stick around and you can hear the entire hit single, number 20 of the Fungi from Yuggoth, The Night Gaunts, which is my favorite and was the most improvised version. Because the show didn't work and I didn't get any good material to put together, I said, well, fuck it. I still like it. I still think this is funny. Mm-hmm. And so I put together an album. It's the first album from Huge Success LLC, and it is entitled Speakeasy on Yuggoth, and it is all 1920s and 1930s big band swing jazz. There's a Zydeco song on there. There's a blues song on there, and it's all musical styles that would have been contemporary when Lovecraft was writing The Fungi from Yuggoth. It's not the entire series, but it's the first 9 that I gave a shit about. And that means because there's 36 sonnets, there's going to be 3 more albums. and the idea is I'm going to put them all in different like contexts, right? So
it's like all different eras?
Different eras.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So like a new wave goth kind of album of all of them.
Yeah.
The problem with that is that then you like run the risk of getting too serious about it, and I don't know. They're not very good. So the songs aren't. But
I would never run the risk of getting too serious about it.
Okay. Well, you can help out on the next one.
Okay.
As musical director.
No, I have nothing to do with it.
It is generated AI music. I do work on it. I work on the prompts and I do fiddle with it some.
Just
but I'm not a musician.
Please cut out all of this justification.
I'm justified.
Yeah.
Justified. Maybe I will cut it out. All right. We got some email.
Did we?
We got email from one Wesley Dodds. That's right. The original Sandman.
Wow.
Wesley Dodds wrote to us. We got to chatting. He's a super cool dude.
Yes.
We got to chatting at Necronomicon, and it turns out his side gig is he runs a store, an eBay store, I believe. I'll have a link in the show notes for trading in Vampire: The Eternal Struggle trading card game, which has been out of print for 30 years. Vampire: The Eternal Struggle trading card game was one of my favorite trading card games. I didn't give a shit about Pokemon. I don't give a shit about Magic the Gathering. I played 3 games. Vampire: The Eternal Struggle was one. It was great. It was awesome. It was all based on White Wolf vampire stuff. We have played Vampire Rivals, which is okay.
Okay.
It's not as good. It's fine. Yeah. But yeah, I played that. I played Mythos, which was the Lovecraft trading card game, and I played Illuminati New World Order, which was another trading card game. Those are the 3 games I cared about. And I'm amazed that someone else on Earth remembers Vampire: The Eternal Struggle.
So what is his business? It's
Vampire: The Eternal Struggle was a collectible card game.
Okay.
And so think Magic the Gathering, right?
Yeah.
Where he finds them, sources them somehow, and puts them up on eBay.
Oh,
right?
okay.
That's the whole thing.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, and it's cool, right?
Yeah.
And it's like this weird little niche
that's fun.
of a game that no one remembers. And if you played Vampire: The Eternal Struggle, check it out, because you can spend $10 on a card, I guess, with this guy. And it's cool.
I'm a vampire. Kill me. Kill me.
We got an email from Matthew, who sent me a long list of, hey, if you like the fungi from Yuggoth, you might want to check out these things. It's for your listeners, and it was long and well researched and had a lot of links. I'm not going to read it.
Nice.
And but what I will do is I'll put the links in the summaries in the show notes. So like if you're into it, and it's like all of these different printings and collections, and there's even a musical album because someone else, I'm not the first on this scene. And so they're going to be all in the show notes. So thank you, Matthew, for that. He came to the live show, which is why he wrote this extremely well-researched email that I'm keeping to myself. And then finally we got, well, they're not all winners.
Oh, we did, yeah.
We got an evil email. An evil email from one Charles X Machine.
Charles X Machine.
So Charles Machine hates this podcast. It turns
No,
out.
he doesn't. He hates me.
He
not
hates this podcast because he hates you.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I don't understand why. So I think his main gripe was like, you got to ditch that Claire.
It was, quote, she doesn't get Lovecraft.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't get, and I quote, HPL.
Yeah. She doesn't get HPL. And it should just be me.
And he wants to ditch me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is insane.
As if. Yes. Is this man married?
No.
Because.
Come on. Now,
like,
we don't know.
We don't know. Maybe he is. I don't know. But like.
He probably has a very rich and full family
No, but what
life.
I'm saying is that, like, as if you're going to fire your wife
And attorney.
and attorney from your podcast,
Mm-hmm.
that not only as if you would fire your wife, but as if you could fire your wife, half owner
Yes.
of, yeah.
Fellow director of Huge Success LLC. Yeah.
No, I did that. I thought it was pretty funny.
I thought it was great too. If you don't like the discussion episodes, you're more than welcome to skip them.
Right. Yeah.
And if you like the readings, there are much better
Yeah.
readers
No,
out there.
and he clearly didn't like. I don't remember what he was talking about. It was something referencing like vaccines or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
and then he like went into this like
Yeah.
side trip of like, man, don't talk about politics. I listen to podcasts.
Sir.
It's like, well, everything is politics, turns out.
right, sir, and anyone else listening right now, I am telling you right now,
Mm-hmm.
we are both militant lefties.
Mm-hmm.
If you disagree or don't want to listen to that, then go fuck yourself.
Yeah, you're not, in fact, licensed to use this podcast.
Go fuck yourself.
Boom.
Vote Kamala Harris.
Vote Kamala Harris.
And obviously, I'm even lefter than that because, like, I'm uncomfortable with saying vote Kamala Harris, but vote Kamala Harris.
Yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, we are here tonight to officially nominate Kamala Harris for president. Five, get loud, another round of shots. DHC, turn out for what?
Yeah, speaking of ways to complain about this podcast, we have several available to you, and they are.
Oh, we also did get a review on Spotify that we were painfully unfunny.
Yes.
Which that's the one that I keep bringing up as hilarious.
That's
I want
kind of my
I
favorite.
want t-shirts that say
I know
painfully
you don't listen
unfunny.
to the podcast, Claire.
I don't.
I did warn that this episode would be painfully
Would be
unfunny.
painfully unfunny. Okay, good.
On the last episode. So if you want to complain about the podcast, you are more than welcome to on your social media app of choice. Be sure to include a link to the podcast so people know where not to go. If you want to complain directly to us, that's great too. We have a TikTok account. We have a Mastodon presence. We have an email address and a YouTube channel for some reason. All of those links will be in the show notes. Pointedly, we do not have Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook.
I mean, we
Claire
kinda had
claims to have a Facebook
no,
account.
we did for a while, and then I just got tired of,
Yeah.
Yeah,
We refuse to interact with those services for reasons I think that should be obvious now.
No, I don't. I mean, I still have my own personal Facebook, but I don't do a whole lot on it.
Facebook is haram. And you also can choose to pay for a subscription to this show.
God bless those of you who do.
Thank you. Wesley Dodds is one of them, actually.
You make us lose a little bit less money
Yes,
than
we lose money slower
Yeah,
thanks to
a
you.
slower rate.
And that is it. So, yeah.
Yeah, those of you who like us, I fucking love you guys.
Those of you who hate us, hey, it's
Go
stuff
fuck
to talk
yourself.
about. It's just, well, I enjoy the free material to talk about on the podcast.
It is fun. Yeah.
So all these links, these show notes are going to be extensive this time. I think I have a lot of links this time around. I don't think anyone actually reads show notes, but you never know. Maybe someone someday will. But for like in between episodes, my goal is to do a little bit more on the TikToking because I think it's funny.
I'm Jessica from techboomers.com, and in this video, I'll be showing you how to use the TikTok app. Now let's get started.
And
on the TikTok.
yeah, and that
We want to
is
reach
it.
the kids, the young people.
Yeah, those Gen Alphas.
Those Gen Alpha
Those Gen
Lovecraft
Alphas,
fans.
Those Riztastic Gen Alpha Sigmas.
Yes, our kids had zero interest in any of this podcast until I told them that somebody called us painfully unfunny, which they enjoyed that a lot.
Yes.
So.
Yes, good bonding moment. That's it. That's the show.
Yep.
We ran a little long, but we just came back from Necronomicon. So thank you so much for listening, and you're welcome for the show.
Out of what crypt they crawl, I cannot tell. But every night I see the rubbery thing. Black, horned and slender, with membranous wings, and tails that bear the bifid barb of hell. They come in legions on the north wind's swell, with obscene clutch that titillates and stings, snatching me off on monstrous voyagings to gray worlds hidden deep in nightmare's well. Over the jagged peaks of thought they sweep, heedless of all the cries I try to make, and down the nether pits to that foul lake, where the puff shoggoths splash in doubtful sleep. But oh, if only they would make some sound, or wear a face where faces should be found. Over the jagged peaks of thought they sweep, heedless of all the cries I try to make, and down the nether pits to that foul lake, where the puff shoggoths splash in doubtful sleep. But oh, if only they would make some sound, or wear a face where faces should be found. Oh, if only they would make some sound, or wear a face where faces should be found. But oh, if only they would make some sound, or wear a face where faces should be found.
Podsoftball.bandcamp.com